Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Jessica Rivera. Now let's head over to our West Palm Beach studios with Alan Mednick and Miranda Kahn from RealConvo. Welcome, Alan and Miranda.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Veterans are 1.5 times more likely to die by suicide, but there is hope. But that might be it.
22. That's the number of veterans we lose every day to suicide. A reported 45 a day attempt to take their life. That's 16,000 veterans a year that we either lose or come close. That's too many. 1 out of every 4 suicides in this country is committed by a veteran. Heroes that came back from serving our country.
I remember the IED going off and kind of flying through the air and hitting the ground. I had like blood and shrapnel in my mouth. And I remember being in like this strange, like conscious but unconscious state of mind.
A mortar round hitting about maybe 10 feet from me, knocking my buddy down, almost dying.
I was in Baghdad. I got hit by 3 explosions.
The symptoms are the same. We see young men that haven't slept for months, sometimes years of full night's rest.
Something wasn't right. I knew that my brain wasn't functioning right. It was near impossible for me to have healthy relationships with the people in my life or even myself.
I couldn't really sleep at night. I just got massive headaches and my body just started kind of like shaking, and I got real scared. And that's kind of like when it hit me a little bit harder that something was wrong with me.
When I noticed there was something wrong with me, I started feeling like I was being watched, like I was being trailed.
We've married neurosciences to be able to show those wounds. By demonstrating those injuries, we're then able to refer them off to therapies, alternative treatments, such as hyperbaric oxygen, and looking at different other alternatives that are out there. And it's working.
And we're so pleased today to have on RealConvo the founder of the 22 Project and one of the board members. Aren't you excited, Alan?
And a veteran.
And a veteran.
So thank
yes,
you so much
thank you for your service.
So
served in Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to introduce Alex Cruz, the founder, and John Gullman, who is a board member and again a veteran from Vietnam.
Yeah,
so
6 years in Vietnam, Marine Corps.
Only one tour, so.
But still, thank you.
5 years of sloughing work, but that was good.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
You guys are doing absolute amazing work. I've known you guys for a little while. We spoke about it. You know, veteran suicide is an important topic. It's always been an important topic, but it's getting out there more. Obviously, we spoke about the Presidential Task Force to Prevent, and it's getting a lot of awareness. We got to get more information out about your organization. Can you tell us about what you exactly do and how you're helping?
Sure. Thank you very much for having us here.
Our pleasure.
We've been doing this since 2014. So we've been raising the awareness of our cause, trying to get veterans from all over the country now. We work with wonderful organizations that are helping us bring special forces, all the different military branches, young men that have served in combat, and you know, for one reason or another, after they come home, they just don't feel right, they're not sleeping, you know, it starts affecting their marriages, their family, and just everything starts to go downhill. So they tend to isolate a lot. So by us showing those, originally by showing those brain scans, it helps to identify those traumatic brain injuries that might have been unidentified before.
Can you explain what now you have imaging businesses.
That's correct.
And one of the businesses, nuclear imaging, is what you use on.
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain what you're looking at?
Sure. So we use a nuclear isotope that is tagged and goes to the organ, to the brain, and it highlights area of increased intensity and low intensity. And therefore, measuring those type of perfusion, which is blood to the brain or function to the brain, we're able to detect why some of the areas are not functioning properly. And by viewing that, number one, it gives the veteran hope to realize that this isn't just a chronic illness that they have, it's actually an injury that could be treated. And there, we sponsor them for an off-label treatment called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It's been around for, gosh, over 60 years. It's been used for divers for the bends. They use it for wounds that don't heal.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Burn
actually,
victims,
Michael Jackson, I guess, had something going there. He was pretty cool with
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
some celebrities have
Yeah.
it. Some professional football players have it. So we're using that treatment as the primary mode of healing the brain, and it happens so quick that within 6 to 10 days, these veterans that haven't been sleeping more than 2 hours a day for years, they start sleeping through the night.
Wow.
On their own.
6 to 10 days, that's
6
it?
to 10 days, yes.
So, John, I want to bring you into the conversation. Obviously, you're a veteran. Did you yourself suffer from post-traumatic stress?
No, and I can't say that I did.
But you know veterans that have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of friends of mine from my era, which was the early 70s, that took their lives because they just didn't feel as though they fit when they came home. And we used to call it the 1,000-yard stare, when somebody would come home and they'd be present but not. So we're seeing it manifest itself today, totally different circumstances, but the same results as where people don't feel as though they fit into the normal life. And spouses see it even before they recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it about the oxygen? How does it exactly work to help with the...
That's a great question. When you're in a pressurized environment in a hyperbaric chamber, what happens is it just increases perfusion through the capillary beds and increases stem cell production. So essentially, the plasma, the blood, is just saturated with oxygen. It's able, therefore, to push those oxygen molecules into areas that might have been injured and might have been dormant. So you might have neurons in the brain that might be dormant from a traumatic brain injury, and then you push this oxygen almost in a compressed fashion, gets into these neurons, and it starts to excite them, cause them to fire again, and cause them to communicate. So that's why they start to feel better. I mean, the changes sometimes are subtle, but they happen quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, and in fact, it happened for Brian Fleming. Want to hear what he had to say?
Yes.
My name is Brian Fleming, and I was wounded in combat in Afghanistan by a suicide bomber a few years back and had a very long road to recovery. And the 22 Project actually provided for me a couple of brain scans that the government would not provide or conduct for me. And those scans allowed me to get hyperbaric oxygen therapy to treat a couple of traumatic brain injuries I sustained during a couple of different explosions in Afghanistan.
He mentioned it was something that the government wouldn't provide. This is something that the services are free. You're non-for-profit.
It is through our organization. We don't, myself, we don't own hyperbaric treatment centers. What we've been doing, my wife and I started just by sponsoring one veteran, and one veteran turned into 3, turned into 5, and then great partnerships with other corporate partners that figured out, just like we did, we got to help these young men and women that are coming back from war, and we got to help them at a chance at life. So we've been fortunate enough to raise money, and every chance we get, we fly them here, all expenses paid. They're here for 1 month. We treat them twice a day. We give them a before and after scan, and then we have a fellowship. So we have other veterans in the community.
They have meetings, right?
We have meetings.
Yeah.
Just to let them know, they get to meet veterans. I've had this 2-3 years ago that have gone off to start new careers, go back and get their degrees in college. So it gives them hope.
That's an important part because, John, I know we spoke about this. When you come out of the military, it's basically like you're losing a family.
It is. Especially today, most of these veterans that have served in Afghanistan and Iraq have taken several tours. In my day, you did one tour and then you had to volunteer to go back a second time. I wasn't dumb enough to do that. But these kids come home for 6 months, they go back, they come home, they go back, they come home, they go. And each time they come home, it's more difficult to go back. But it's really difficult when you come home and they give you a week and they say goodbye. And these friendships that you've had ever since basic training over 4 years disappear because you're going the 4 winds. And that's always the most difficult thing, that camaraderie, because you can face anything as long as you're together with a team. Once you don't have that team, that support function, it's totally different when you go home.
Yeah.
And you've known a veteran that died by suicide. Yeah. Your son died by suicide.
Yeah.
You served. What's it like for you? Because you wanted to be a part of this. You wanted to be a board member.
Sure. Well,
it's got to be so rewarding.
It is because, first of all, when we get together, age does not have an impact. Where you serve does not have an impact. What rank you are doesn't have an impact. I was kidding last week, 2 weeks ago, the last meeting, we had a 2-star general, 2 lieutenant colonels, and a command sergeant major in the room, and nobody knew who the hell. Nobody was wearing stars or anything like that. And we kid each other a lot. And when they walk out of there are people that just can't relate to other folks, but that hour and a half, 2 hours they're together, it's just like in a big tent. And it just like you're playing cards, and it's really important to have that. It's kind of, when we couldn't do it during the early stages of the pandemic, you could tell people were really wanting to do it.
Yeah. Well, we think you all wear stars and stripes here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're definitely
Absolutely.
superstars here. We're running out of time. We only have about a minute left. We are going to post information about the 22 project on our website,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to let you say it because Alan, I know you've been saying it.
www.realconvo.com.
So, before we let you go, real quickly, what can you tell the viewers to do if they're interested, if they want to help out? Donate? Do they go to your website? We'll put that link on ours.
Okay,
but
perfect.
Is that what they do?
Yes, the best
Yeah.
way to reach us is through the website, which is www.support22project.org. There's all our contact information. Just send us out, a quick message, and someone will be in touch with you to figure out what you need and how we can help you.
Well, we love what you're doing. Yeah, you've helped, 120 veterans?
Over 120.
20 veterans.
Yeah.
And
We don't keep count.
And your success rate is?
Well, a lot of the young men you featured earlier today,
Yeah.
those are guys that are in the fire rescue now. They've had babies now.
Love it.
They've
Love
gotten
it.
degrees, and it's so gratifying
Yep.
for us to see
It's
that.
great.
So.
That's
So,
incredible.
real-convo.com is where we'll have all the information. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you, and
for
thank
having
you
me.
again for your
Appreciate it.
service, John.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, we have more coming up on America's Voice. Coming up next, the Hollywood with Amanda Head coming up.